citizens have got to wrestle with. And I guess we'll have some ideas, and we look to the 5 board members to give us their experience and maybe throw some ideas on the table to tackle that. We're going to go out and borrow it from SunTrust. We're
no.
going to pass an e-splost. We're going to raise property taxes. There are a lot of uncomfortable decisions that have got to be made, and we've got to start tackling them, from what I can say.
You're right.
So where do you stand on all that he just said?
We're going to have to balance the budget.
How do you, okay, so where do you stand on the e-splost?
Well, the way I look at it is like this. If we are 20 million in the hole with the e-splost, that makes us 40 million in the hole without it.
The e-splost is designated for certain things that the board proposed when they originally proposed the e-splost, and we all voted that they could spend this money on these things. That is what they spent the money on. They aren't allowed to use it for those things that the M&O is used for. So really you can't say that they would be an additional 20 million in the hole.
Are you saying that they wouldn't be losing 20 million if
No,
we pass
I'm saying they wouldn't be losing an additional 20 million. They would be losing an additional amount, yes, because they weren't able to spend money on new school buses, for instance. So that if they had to buy a new school bus, that would then have to come out of M&O. And if it had to come out of M&O, then you wouldn't have been able to, you would have had to do even more cuts to your teacher pay, because as we all agree, 90% of the budget's teachers and staff. Because let's not knock all the staff out just because they're not teachers. So what I'm saying is if you didn't have the e-splost, it wouldn't be an additional 20 million in the hole, because we as citizens decided how the board was going to spend that money.
What you've obviously thought about this a lot. What kind of ideas that you
Well, I post my ideas all the time on Take Action for Public Education. You can go there and look. What I'm here for is to find out what she is going to do, why I should vote for her, to tell me what she's going to do, whether she supports the e-splost, whether she supports just the other items that you were specifically talking about. What is her? I want to hear what her ideas are on the charter school amendment. I want to hear what her ideas are on all of the situation, not just I want to get down into the nitty-gritty. That's why I came, is to find out the nitty-gritty. And I haven't heard her answer one, what she feels or how she's going to fix it. And that's what we need, is a fix. So how are you going to fix it? Other than working with them and working together to fix it. Yes, I get it. But where do you, I mean, everybody else, I believe, has come out, except for possibly Barry Marchman, on how they feel about the e-splost. Marion Key has even said she supports the e-splost. So she may not have said it in all those words, but when she's...
Well, she's here.
Well, we can ask that. Right. Marion.
Let her answer for herself.
Okay.
Barry's here too.
Yeah. You know, I think...
oh, they're not... Are you going to answer? Oh, sorry. Were we not encouraging that answer? If they're here, do you mind answering?
Well, you know what? You came here to find out what...
Right. Okay.
So I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
e-splost, like I said, if we're already $20 million in the hole, and we don't have e-splost, that's minus another 20 million, and however you rearrange the money, it's still minus another 20 million.
So you're for the e-splost?
It would be nice to have the e-splost, but as a board member, if I'm elected, it's the same day that the e-splost is decided, it's the same day this election is decided. I will go with whatever the people decide.
When you go into the booth, are you going to pull the lever for or against e-splost? I think that's the question that's being asked.
I pulled the lever 4 years ago for e-splost.
All right, now on 6 November 2012, do you see yourself voting for?
I don't understand how hard that question is. If you're against it, then tell us why. If you're for it, then tell us why.
It's just not my role to advocate.
But it is your role. Oh, it is so your role. If you are public education, your role is to I am going to elect you because I don't have the time or inclination to sit and figure out what's best for my public education. I moved to this county because the public education in this county was the best around. And so I never paid attention to what our board members were doing because they had already proven to me that they were doing a fabulous job, because we wouldn't have the rating we have if they weren't doing a fabulous job. Something's happened in those last 14 years that I've been here, because all of a sudden I'm hearing and I'm witnessing not so fabulous jobs. So this election is highly, highly important to me. And I need to find out from you, because I will be the first to admit that I have been sitting around not paying attention. And I'm paying attention now, and I want some answers.
And I think, obviously you look at it a lot. I've delved into it, as I know a lot of these other people have. The people that haven't are the ones that aren't in here.
Right.
And they look to people that are more informed, and I think that starts with the 5 members of the school.
And if you're running for board, you're more informed than I am. And I'm going to listen to you, especially if you're on there and if you want me to vote for you and continue to support. I need to understand where you stand on these things.
That decision is up to the people. And
But a lot of those people are looking to you,
Mary Kay, we need leaders. We need leaders. We need leaders to tell us what we need to do. We truthfully do. We need leaders.
I'm going to vote for it, but I don't think it's my role to
lead us, but that you want, you want, but
you have a choice.
Of course I do.
Tax yourself, tax yourself. If you don't want to tax yourself, don't tax yourself. If it's worth it to you,
but Mary Kay, a lot of the voters don't understand the consequences if they vote against it. They say, yeah, I don't like taxes, we've got too many, and maybe in the 1st of January, the federal will raise no more taxes. And then 6 months down the road, we find out the board's having to cut teachers everywhere. Gee, I didn't realize that. You did. I mean, you can see down the road here. You work developing teachers. You know what the consequences are better than any of the, our great average citizens out there who are doing things in their area of interest. And I think it's very useful for those informed members, be it at the Board of Commissioners for things going on in the county or the Board of Education in that area, to say, it's your choice. If you do it, here's some things we can accomplish. If you don't, here's some things we cannot accomplish. I'm going to be at your mercy, because I've only got one vote. But I just want you all to be informed about the consequences one way or the other, and then they can make a wiser decision. And otherwise, we'll get some folks just, nope, it's never tax anymore. But had they known more, they would have said, geez, I wish I'd have voted differently on that thing. And that's the kind of leadership that I think, people are looking and asking you about this afternoon.
Okay.
A question, Mary Kay. What is the?
I'm gonna vote. I'm gonna vote for it. I mean, me personally, I'm gonna vote for it.
Why are you gonna vote for it? Why are you gonna vote for it?
Because I think an investment in education is an important thing.
And if we don't vote for it, what are we gonna lose? Other than the $20 million plus or minus, what are the consequences of that? Is it new school buses? Is it closing some buildings? Is it letting teachers go? Is it letting parapros go? Closing the lunch? What's the cost to me?
Well, let me just say this about the East Gloss. The last one that was passed, and they told us no teachers, if we passed this, no teachers would lose their job. Promptly 156 did. So passing the East Gloss is not going to make a hill of beans of whether we lose teachers or not.
We would ask you to consider those kinds of questions and maybe post it on your website as to what the benefits would be if it was passed and you had that additional resource, and the consequences if it was not. And it may be in pretty generic terms, and you may not want to nail yourself down too much because things could change. We could get a tornado come through, we have 3 schools apart and have to rebuild those.
We hope insurance would take care of that.
We know that it's going to be hard, even with East Blast. And I remember, John Dakotas, he was saying the last time East Blast came up, he was saying, it's a matter of choosing whether you cut off an arm or a leg. That's how dire it was 4 years ago, and it barely passed.
East Gloss takes those things out of the budget that we would have to pay for out of the general